What's good, everyone? This is DJ's Raw Uncut Truth, giving you the raw content that you deservedly need. And I got my boy Gibson on the line, man. Brother, how are you doing, man?
Doing great, doing great.
Man, this draft class is something to behold. Uh, it's better than a lot of people said. And remember, I pointed this out. You pointed this out too, Gibson, that this was a depth-based draft. So there wasn't a LeBron or Kobe.
We
But
talking
there
about 2020 or 2021?
2020. Sorry,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
2020. Um, but it has players that could be perennial all-stars. Um, they've proved a lot of people wrong. They were motivated. I know players say they don't look at media, but that's a lie. They do. So they was hearing about how this draft class is like 2013 and a bunch of busts and all this stuff. So when I saw Anthony Edwards, LaMelo, Halliburton, and plenty of others do their thing, I wasn't even a bit of a surprise. So what do you think about how the 2020 draft class exceeded expectations?
Well, it definitely, for me, exceeded expectations just on the basis of Anthony Edwards and LaMelo being superstar type players. Like, people were doubting Anthony Edwards. They were calling him the next Anthony Bennett. They were calling him trash before he got in because he was playing with a bunch of players in Georgia who couldn't shoot, and he was the only reliable scorer in that team. Same thing with LaMelo. Oh, they were looking at LaMelo's shooting percentages and saying, well, he can't really shoot, even though he was taking bad shots and didn't really try defensively because his team was bad as a team defensive. But no one took anything into context. People just said, oh, these players suck. No one really looked at Patrick Williams at all. So scouting is important. That's the thing. You can never say a draft is bad until 2 years into them playing in the NBA.
Yeah, the only scouts, talent evaluators that got this draft right, the 2020 draft, that is Rashad Phillips, aka Yoda, and Mike Smits. They were the only ones that I've seen who said that this draft class is way better than what people give credit for. And they did a good job on what did they do before the draft? They broke down film.
Yeah.
It showed weaknesses, strengths, and what they can improve on.
Yeah.
Now, people would say, "Oh, I'm a LaMelo Ball fan, and I can't be objective." But Gibson, I know there was times you see me say, "Well, I wish LaMelo had a mid-range jumper, so he
Yep.
doesn't have to fall in love with the floaters." I've been saying that for the longest. I've also
Yep.
said he needs to be at least 200 pounds. If you're not getting calls, you better put some muscle on you.
Yeah, that's one thing about the NBA is they reward stronger, bigger players than weak players. They don't like if Luka didn't have that extra, that big body, he wouldn't get the foul calls he would like. Same thing with LeBron, even though that didn't help LeBron early in his career.
Exactly. And Luka's 230.
Yeah.
230 plus. Sometimes he looks 240. But Anthony Edwards, we had a discussion a while back, and we had some flack, and we said that if Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball was in the 2019 draft, they would have been selected ahead of R.J. Barrett. And people say, no, Barrett is better than those two. But now there's crickets. Because if you don't think the New York Knicks would take LaMelo Ball, they needed a point guard.
That's the thing that kills me, DJ, is no one ever takes context into the matter of what the 2019 draft was. No matter what, Ja and Zion were getting picked number 1 and 2.
Exactly.
The only reason the Knicks picked RJ was because there wasn't a clear point guard to be taken. The closest point guard was who's that point guard from Cleveland?
Shoot.
He's good.
From Vanderbilt.
Yeah, he only played like 3 games, really. But
oh man, I can't believe I forgot his name.
yeah, he's not forgettable. I don't really look at his game much. But he was the point guard at the time, and no one was like the Knicks weren't going to waste a pick on a point guard they knew nothing about.
Right.
So they took the closest talented player who, in high school, was ranked number 1. So they took RJ. But let's be real, and Anthony Edwards was going to get picked before him because even though his inefficient numbers and all that, he was a stronger player than Anthony Edwards. I mean, and than RJ. He could shoot the mid range. He could shoot the 3. He was athletic enough to get his dunks. He had the talent that RJ kind of doesn't have.
Right. And this is all hypotheticals, of course. Like if this is just to judge on talent. Like hypothetically, if Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, Halliburton, Patrick Williams, and others were in the 2019 draft, they would have been selected higher in some cases, not all cases. We all know that Zion and Ja would have been 1 and 2. That's that's the proof all right there. But there's a player, and you mentioned Patrick Williams. He's someone who I would not be surprised if he turns out to be a two-dimensional star, offensively and defensively, if he figures it out.
Yeah. His 3 is going to need work, but like the kid already has a mid-range. He's really good defensively. Like he's not a dumb player who does too much dribbling. So like everything about him, just you want that in your team.
Right.
And that's one thing I hate about the Hornets is that they have a lot of dumb fucking players in their team. Like, I know I don't want to get on the tangent on that, but like Terry Rozier, great player, the best player on the Hornets, but he's not really smart when it comes to picking moments to take over. I don't know. Something about him.
Yeah, you're right about that. What do you think about R.J. Hampton and Cole Anthony? They played on the same team this year for the Orlando Magic. How do you think they are?
I am not high on R.J. Hampton like everyone else is. I'm high on Cole Anthony. I think he comes in. He for the big moments. He's always there, even if he misses. He's always looking to kill. Cole Anthony, I'm really high on. I think he's going to be a number 2 on a just getting in the playoffs team.
Mm-hmm. And as for the Orlando Magic, I told a lot of my friends this. They're going to be a team I would not be surprised if they make the playoffs next year.
They're going to need sort of no. DJ, that's where I got to disagree with you, man.
Oh yeah, let me hear it out, bro.
I mean, they gave up their best scorer. The second best scorer is gone, and they have their bench is terrible. It's worse than the Hornets bench. It's worse than any bench in the league, not named the Pelicans. They probably will purposefully tank next year if they don't get a Cade or a Mobley.
Right.
So I don't think that's going to happen.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. Now that you mentioned that I do see your point. You got to have scores, and them getting rid of their top 2 scores is it's painful. I'm just talking about the development. Mo Bamba, he finally showed up at the end of the games. All he needed was playing time. I've always knew that Mo Bamba had something there. He just needed minutes.
DJ, I'm going to say this. I don't think that's the team for him. That team has a shitload of like power forward defenses.
Right.
Like, even if they got rid of Vucevic, they still have who's that guy that got injured? Who's going to come back? Can't believe I get these names.
I know it's early in the day. It's the brother that wouldn't kneel.
Yeah, he's basically gonna take Mo Bamba's minutes. And I know if they get the number 2 pick, Evan Mobley, they're gonna pick Evan Mobley. I think they have so many long arm type players. I just feel like Mo Bamba's in the wrong team.
Yeah, I've always said that. Rashard Phillips pointed it out too.
Yeah, it just doesn't mix well. Like, he needs to be in the team where.
Oh, okay. Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, Jonathan Isaac, legit, is just gonna take his minutes.
Right.
I don't. I think he needs to go to a team like the Pelicans, a team like New York, where he could. Then again, New York already has their 2 bigs.
Right.
I don't know. He just needs to go to a team that just desperately needs a big.
Yeah, that you make a good point on that, man. It's kind of like the Hornets. Hornets they have too many ball handlers, quote unquote. Like, everybody wants the ball, dribble, dribble, dribble. They have no identity. And brother, a lot of Hornet fans, they keep telling me it's not all about LaMelo. I get that, but when you draft a player number 3, wouldn't you want to build around your point guard? I'm not saying LaMelo get the ball 24/7, but you got to create more plays and more and just
Here's
more
my thing.
creativity.
Here's my thing. I'm okay with the players they have. I'm just not okay with how the coach uses them. Like, Devontae Graham is a good coming off the bench guard. He is not the guy you go to when you get the game close because, you need defense. You don't pick up Cody Martin. Oh, yeah, we're down 2. We need defense. Like, I know we're going off the rookie stuff, but like, anytime LaMelo brought them back in a game, the coach would forget that he brought them back in a game and bring in defense.
Oh boy.
And then lose. Like, you remember that Lakers game? They were playing against LeBron. They were down like 20 points. LaMelo brings them back to 5 points. And then the coach is like, oh, it's getting really close. Let me sit him down for the whole 5 minutes. And then loses that lead. Not even the lead. They just lose. They weren't even close. And the so-called defensive lineup that Coach Borrego puts out gets killed.
Oh, talk to him about that. That's that zone. I call it the auto zone defense.
It's crazy because it's like, yes, LaMelo is not a good defender at all. But
wait, I wouldn't say not a good defender.
Okay, he's not a good on-ball defender at all. Like, he's gonna trick you. He's a great high IQ player when it comes to getting steals. But on ball, because he's kind of skinny now, it's not gonna work, especially with these type of refs that don't work on his favor because he's a rookie. But like, Cody Martin is so trash offensively that it doesn't even matter defensively. It doesn't. That's all I'm saying, DJ. It's like, Devontae Graham isn't that good defensively. So why is he in your defensive lineup?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Like, also, I'm not going to trash Devontae Graham. I think he's an okay player. My problem with him playing late game minutes, that he starts doing this hero ball shit that gets real fucking annoying. Like, come on. Why are you taking dumbass threes, dude? You're down 2. Just look to get a layup or pass it to PJ or Miles for an easy. Why are you taking seconds off the clock? Dribbling up the top of the key, just dribbling. Then when the seconds are just like it's 3 seconds left, you take a dumbass shot.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Taking Steph Curry type shots, man. That didn't make sense with me. That's why certain Hornet fans and fans of LaMelo as well complained about that. They claimed that, that was hating. I've said that if Devontae would have understood his role, he could be a good 6-man. But it seems like he's a player that wants to be the starter and wants it to be his team. I'm just going off. I may be wrong, but I'm just saying what I see. And maybe the coach's fault.
Here's the crazy thing. I don't think Devontae Graham is like, I just feel like the coach gives too much leeway to Devontae Graham, so Devontae Graham thinks it's okay. Like, if the scheme was, listen, Devontae Graham, let LaMelo be the point guard, you be a spot up shooter. Because later this season, LaMelo was the worst type of guy you want as a spot-up shooter. His fucking his hands
Wrist.
was fucked up. His wrist was fucked up. So why would you put him as a spot-up shooter and Devontae Graham as a point guard? That made no fucking sense.
Right.
And it's because Devontae Graham was a way better shooter than LaMelo later this season. He easily could have been looked for the corner. You could have looked for him. He could have done that shot because he's better when it's a spot-up shot instead of doing that hero ball shit that he does in the fourth quarter. But
Right.
that's the thing, DJ. I don't think the roster is bad. I just think that the coach allows for too many dudes to do too much. Like the Martin twins early this season were dribbling the ball when LaMelo was on the court, and I was like, why are they doing that?
They
Why?
have him in the corner. Oh, bro, I gotta bring this up. There was somebody on Twitter that had a rebuttal to my, talking point about the team has to be built around their point guard LaMelo Ball, and they were saying, well, LaMelo at times need to be the second or third option going forward, and I get that if this team had, that guy. But I don't see Gordon Hayward as that guy. He's not even dependable. He's always injured. And
Here's the thing with that, DJ.
right.
I'm okay with him being the second option or third option scoring, but he has to be your point guard
See, that's
distributing the
better
ball.
explained. That's better explained right there.
That's it. Because, yeah, I have better faith in Terry Rozier giving you 30 a night than LaMelo, but I have better faith in LaMelo being your point guard, getting it to Terry Rozier in certain spots.
It is crazy, too, because I'm glad you're on the show because you break everything down. You realize this season, because they want to tell us, oh, you only give LaMelo Ball credit on the team, nobody else. I give him Miles Bridges credit. I haven't said he should have been starting a long time ago. Terry Rozier, I've even said he's the most clutch. So if you look at the metrics, he's the most clutch on the team. But all because I point out how James Borrego, and you know how coaches are, they have their favorites. The Twins, Devontae Graham, those are James Borrego's favorites. That's not a lie. That's just something you see on the court.
Yeah, not even that. Like when he had after Monk came out of the COVID thing, he
Right.
still was playing one of the Martin twins over Monk. That shit
Right.
was hilarious. That was more annoying to me than the LaMelo thing. Until and I just feel like there's a principle with James. Like, here's the thing, DJ. I don't think firing James Borrego would have solved anything this season because I think the Hornets do need to see another year with James Borrego and LaMelo if he's going to pull that bullshit again. I feel Borrego is not going to try to do that anymore because even later this season, Borrego allowed LaMelo to play way more as a point guard. So they're going to try to see if he allows it. That's all.
I'll take your word for it, my brother, but man, it's just, I don't know. Something is just, I got to see it to believe it with James Borrego.
I'm just not going to say he's as worse as Luke. Like, Luke Walton had
Luke Walton was.
I feel like that type of coach, you have to fire. Like,
Right.
I can't blame James Borrego for having a shitty center roster. And as much as I like Vernon Carey, when he got on after the Brooklyn game, defensively, Vernon Carey was worse than, I'm going to say this, was worse than Obak. Like, what's that? Bismack.
Bismack.
Bismack. Like, he was, I'm going to be honest, defensively was worse than Bismack. And that's why they didn't want to play him. And that's why, as much as people criticize Borrego for playing Bismack over Zeller was nothing defensively. And when you have guards like LaMelo and Terry, you can't have a center who sucks defensively on the court with them.
Right.
And so to a certain extent, I could give Borrego this season. I still criticize him for dumb fucking roster plays, but it's not like with Luke where he had a Tyler Ennis and he played him a bigger majority of the fourth quarter. Like, there's a difference. I'm sorry to say this. or a Fizdale. Like, I feel like James Borrego deserves another year with a real team.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see, man.
I know it hurts. It hurts though,
Man, you know what I think, man.
because
Shit, I want
I
Jason
know you
Kidd,
tired
Mark
of
Jackson.
seeing sorry ass coaches.
Yeah, I'm tired of it, man.
I
I'm
mean,
tired.
and if anyone says, "Oh, well, coaches can't really change that much," Tom Thibodeau with the Knicks. The Knicks weren't even supposed to be. They were supposed to be a bottom three team this year,
Right.
and they didn't really change the roster that much. Like, and they got better because Tibbs decided to play his best players more minutes. He decided to allow for a certain amount of power. Like, Knicks fans were asking for RJ Barrett to be the point guard. And instead of doing that, he just said, you know what, Randall, you control the ball more, but you're gonna do less of that bullshit post move shit you always do. We're gonna have you. Also, Randall got better. But I'm just saying, like, with a better coach who allows his best players to be in position to have the green light, that's what happens. And when you were saying that on Twitter to, like, oh, this is why you didn't like James Borrego, is that players like Luka and Trae Young, they get a lot of, pick and roll plays made for them. That was one thing that I hate James Borrego for. Why is Terry Rozier getting, Cody Zeller pick and roll plays for him when we already know he's just going to look to score? He's not tricking anybody. He's just going to do a dumbass three or look to do like that layup he always does. But when LaMelo has the ball, no one is looking to set a pick for him. LaMelo has to freestyle a way to get to the rim.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Did you know, and I looked at analytics, that 90, because they keep saying, and I hate when they compare the two Ball brothers, because one side wants, justifying the other side, and we can't just say one player is doing great and broke some rookie records. We can't just give LaMelo Ball props. Somebody brought up that, well, since LaMelo has a higher usage rate, 24%, um, he's in a way better situation than what Lonzo ever was in, and that's the reason why he's doing well. And I point out that 90+% of his usage rate. Did you know that comes from ISO scoring? All of it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
But
I think it was like 91.5%. It's all
that's
ISO plays.
and
No
that's
play
why
ran up for him.
that's why I'm giving Borrego one more year. If he figures that shit out next year, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at the game and I'm like, before LaMelo got injured, because after post injury LaMelo, I didn't want him on the court. To be honest, but like mid season LaMelo, I was like, yo, just set up. Like when he was playing against the Suns, why did he in the fourth quarter? No one set a pick. He was just schooling Jay Crawford. He was schooling the center, DeAndre Ayton, but no one set a pick for him. He had to freestyle his way to the rim. He had to make his own moves. All of his teammates were just standing around. And I'm like, but then when we have Devontae Graham, who everyone knows is not going to attack the inside, but someone gets pick and rolls all the time. And all he does is shoot the three anyways. But he gets this.
Mm.
And that's my problem. It's like, you're not going to set, like with Luka, with Trae Young, even though I think Luka is like the best.
Yeah.
They're yeah. That's what I want to say, so people don't go, oh, you're comparing them. No, listen. When we figured out how good Luka was, because his coach allowed for him to show his talents. Trae Young, the same thing, even though it was work, like they had a bad record. But what happened is it allowed for everyone to see Trae Young's talent and what he can do. A lot of the times, and this is why, as much as it sounds dumb, I want Lonzo on the team. I want, guards who aren't, ball dominant. Because I
You
think,
mean the Knicks, right?
no, Hornets. I think as much as it sounds crazy, I think Terry Rozier is better than Lonzo right now, but I think it's a better fit with the LaMelo type of player.
Right.
And
I
I'm
just
not.
don't think Michael Jordan's going to ever pull the trigger on that.
I know it's the thing is the Hornets are defensively bad. You have two small guards in Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier. As much as Terry Rozier is like the best scorer on the team by far, he's food. And you see in the playoffs who the best teams are. The Lakers, the Clippers. They're all like big bodied players.
Right.
You can't it's new. It's new game. They have to, if they're serious, they have to trade Devontae Graham or Malik Monk for a center. They have to really consider that.
Yeah, they do. Immediately. And the narrative on LaMelo Ball, you've been seeing it through the social media waves. Um, it's the narrative is that he's the only Ball brother to be in a good situation, to have a coach believe in him, plays ran for him. This is not true. This is not true at all. This is all this talk is coming from. Oh, the reason why LaMelo's having the good numbers is because he's in the best situation as possible. That's not a good situation. The fact that LaMelo Ball, he's almost scored 16 points per game, not even the number one option, and it's freestyling. It's not like JB is making a lot of plays for him. I don't see that.
I'm about to say this. As Luke Walton was a trash, garbage coach for Lonzo.
Yes, he was.
But Luke Walton believed in Lonzo more than Borrego believed in LaMelo.
Yes, I can say that.
And it does help that you have no Terry Rozier or a competent guard who can make you sit on the bench. But because that's what the Lakers had. The Lakers had Alex Caruso and Tyler Anderson backup. So, of course, Lonzo's going to get minutes. But I just feel like with Borrego, he's so Spursian. He's a Spursian type of guy. So no matter how talented you are, that's what I even said on Twitter. I said, shit, if they even had Cade Cunningham, he would have to show 30 games in how good he is before he could take fucking Gordon Hayward's spot. Or Gordon Hayward have to be injured in order to even, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how the tight kind of coach this motherfucker is.
Yeah, I heard it.
And that's my problem. Like, I'm going to be honest. They would have been a 6 seed if they'd have just started LaMelo in the beginning of the year.
Oh, I didn't want to say it. I'm glad you did. Can you say that again, my brother?
Like, they would have been a 6 or 7 seed if they would have just started LaMelo in the beginning of the year. Because Devontae Graham was killing them early in games. Killing them.
And brother, didn't he shoot like 32% field goals or something like that?
Yeah. He was just game after fucking game. And then the games where, obviously LaMelo played 30 minutes, people get tricked about those 30 minutes. He played 30 minutes and then sat the whole fourth. Or, he would play 30 minutes but not play the most important parts of the game.
Gibson, I don't even think they even trust their analytics department. They should know that when LaMelo plays close to 30 minutes, they're above 500. Look at all. You could go look at all the games. And this is not LaMelo Ball favoritism. This is just like you're trying to win. You're trying to go with analytics. It don't matter if it was Terry Rozier or Miles Bridges. If there was a stat that says Terry Rozier the Hornets are above 500 when Terry Rozier has 20 points, then you have to go with that. You have to give him the ball.
The coach that they had to fire from Minnesota was doing the same thing to Anthony Edwards in the beginning of the season, to the point where it took firing and an injury to make everyone realize, oh shit, Anthony Edwards is the best player in this team. What are we doing? Stop. This is what I'm saying. I think it was because not having summer league and not being able to see the rookies, a lot of coaches were very standoffish about giving the rookies this kind of amount of minutes. Because I'm going to be honest, with 2017, the same thing would have happened. Everyone's like, oh, let's be calm with our rookies, because they needed the summer league to show their talent. They need practice to show their talent, and that because of that, it didn't allow for Borrego. That's why I give Borrego, I'm giving him the second season because of that. But honestly, then again, you have to also ask, who's the coach that's going to take over? Because everyone says Mark Jackson, but I don't think they realize, to me, Mark Jackson is just another Stan Van Gundy. I don't think people realize that. People say, oh, no, they need that type of old guy. But it's no, they don't. They don't. I know I
Yeah.
just
I made a post. I think it was yesterday or today, earlier this morning or something like that. I said that Anthony Edwards. I have a feeling he may average 25 points per game next year.
yes, no doubt. 23, but yes, he has the strength to be able to get those foul calls where it's impossible not to call it for him. He
Right.
has the shooting touch. He's just talent. Yeah, just 23. Plus, Cat is the Cat. I'm about to say something crazy. Cat is the second best player on this team. I think Anthony Edwards is going to pull out to be the best player in this team. Easy.
Because Anthony Edwards has one thing. Anthony Edwards has dog in him.
Yep.
Nothing against Cat, but I'm just saying what I see on that court.
Like Cat also takes. Cat doesn't play like a big man. Like everyone wants the new generation of big men to shoot threes and be out. I don't. Like it's cool to have that, but like sometimes it's like the reason. Here's how I value big men. Like five. Can you block? Can you protect the rim? Can you scare the opponent from thinking about going inside? That's the top. That's what I want the most. You shooting threes, that's a gift. That's a good thing. But you're a center. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? That's why when everyone was talking about Cody Zeller's minutes and saying, "Oh, he's the best center on the team," it's like he doesn't do what good centers do. He's bad at everything good centers do. Yes, he can set picks and make a good pass, but no one wants that shit from a center.
And question: what do you think, guesstimation wise? Uh, what do you think LaMelo would do next year, and how many points and assists you think he'll average?
Um, if his hand is good,
Right.
beginning of the season, I say 20 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds.
Right.
Because I feel like they're going to get a capable big that will take the rebounds from him.
Yeah.
Hoping.
If
But
they
yeah,
don't restructure this roster right, if LaMelo doesn't get 20 points per game, it tells everyone that James Bragel's clearly not doing the pick and roll with him enough.
yeah, because he can easily like if he just gets 10 pounds on him this summer, just extra muscle. He always gets to the rim. I think the refs are gonna give him more calls. He can easily average 20. Also, he's a better free throw. He's already a good free throw shooter, so 20 is an easy thing to jump. Also, him. I think he might have. You know what? I give him 8 assists because he's gonna have a center who can jump. I think next year because Cody Zeller and Bismack, I don't like. They have the worst touch in the world.
Oh yeah, man. Can you
Yeah.
imagine LaMelo? Man, what if the lottery guys out there have the Hornets with the number 2 overall pick so they can get Evan Mobley?
Oh man,
Man,
that would be nice. That would be a relief. I
boy.
just, man, the thing about the lottery, and that's one thing I want to ask you. If they get to 11, you think they should trade it or go for a player?
Shoot. I got some options. And for those who are listening, they're going to be like, oh, another guard. We brought this up on DMs. Josh Giddey. What he's
Yep.
a 6'8" guard.
Yep.
Knows his role. Good skill. And he's still growing his game. He's very young.
He can
And
come off the bench.
off the bench too, starting out.
Yep.
And when he matures, he could become the tall backcourt tandem that we all dream that roster to have. Length is everything in today's game. I know they're doing small ball, but today's small ball is still long players, bigger
Yeah.
guards,
Yeah.
bigger small forwards.
Yeah.
So I would like them to do that.
It's really tricky for me because it's Davion Mitchell, it's Josh Giddey,
Right.
and after that, if you can't get any of the guards, just trade it. Because I'll be honest, I like I like some of the centers in this draft, but I don't like them enough to pick them. Like
Yeah.
I feel like with the Hornets, they need a ready now big man. They need that more than ever. Like my dream scenario, as much as I like Mitchell Robinson with the Knicks, I would love them to somehow get Mitchell Robinson out of the Knicks. I
Oh
would
yeah.
love I would love for them to get Holmes, even though he's going to cost them like 20 mil. I would love them to get a decent center. I would like them to get Daniel Tice off the bench. You know, that's what I want for them. I don't want Isaac as much as I like Isaiah Jackson. My problem is he's too skinny. He's going to get bodied by every big man. He's going to be like Jackson Hayes' first year, except a little better. And no one
Right.
wants that.
And people
Um,
are saying, I like Isaiah Jackson. You know, they played with Spire with LaMelo Ball, and people are saying, oh, that's the pick. I'm telling them Josh Giddey should be the pick.
yeah, more skill on the roster.
Right.
Yes, his shooting percentages don't look great, but here's the thing: do you want to keep pulling out a bench point guard who only shoots threes and barely goes and attacks the rim, or a 6'8" guard who not great defensively but can be, who can learn to shoot, also attacks the rim and is a way better passer? Come on.
Here's what happens if the Hornets get Josh Giddey and reconstruct the roster and get a bit. They're lucky we're not GMs because, yeah, of course, we need some analytic department to give us feedback.
Yeah.
But we would have had this all mapped out. We're
Yep.
trading Devontae and the Twins for a valuable big. It doesn't have to be just somebody who has good hands and athletic.
Yep. And I'm gonna say this right now, DJ. I trade both Monk and Devontae Graham.
Right.
I know that. Oh, everyone says we have to keep one. It's like you don't. Like at least with Monk, he is a great scorer. Like I think he saved them in like 4 games. My problem with Monk is he's an extra dumb. Like he plays dumb basketball sometimes. Like I feel like you can only afford to have one of those type of players. And if you play that type of basketball, you have to be really good. Like Terry Rozier, he can dribble all the fuck he wants because he can at least shoot. And most of the time when he does dumbass shit, it works. Monk and Devontae Graham, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. And I think they need to trade them for like 3-and-D wings, older vets who can come off the bench. If they could get Derrick Rose, that would be lovely. You know,
Right.
just veterans who could teach LaMelo the way of the game and also be good playoff pieces.
Yeah, and not all Hornet fans. I don't want to put them in a bubble, but I did hear some people say, "Well, that's good that LaMelo's coming off the bench to learn from Devontae Graham, learn from."
Learn
Okay,
what?
yeah, that threw me off.
Like, I will give Devontae credit. He did tell LaMelo to slow down on hitting the free throw. He did give some
Right,
understanding of like how the league works, but I don't like. Come on, be real. Like, he's not teaching LaMelo that much. And
right.
look, I'm gonna tell you how I would map out how I would build the Hornets because they only have 20 million in cap. Like, so like they only have 20 million available. I would definitely go for Daniel Theis. I don't think that's a great pickup, but like if you're getting him in cheap, he could be your backup. You know what I'm saying? I would see if I could call the Knicks and say, listen, you need a point guard that's not Alfred fucking Payton. I know you don't want to spend too much on Alonzo, or you do, whatever, but I can get you Devontae Graham. I would like Mitchell Robinson. And you probably assign and trade if Mitchell Robinson, you can give him like 12 million, the amount that they gave Cody Zeller. Put him in the roster. You still have cap space. Now you just have to draft, Josh Giddey or Devontae Mitchell to be the bench piece. Then you could, sign and trade the vet minimum for a few like 3-and-D vets who could like come off the bench so that you never see Cody Martin touch the floor again. Um, you know what I'm saying? Slowly add smaller pieces to the Hornets that could be a positive.
That's an
So,
excellent strategy. Can you imagine Josh Giddey, first year, key contributor off the bench? I think he will later on start in the future. But the way he plays, the facilitating, the high IQ, the size, would be perfect for the Hornets.
yeah, and that's the thing. With me, I just don't want them to do another Gordon Hayward type thing where they're looking for a star player. Like, that's not the move.
Right.
That's not, you just need to get some guys here and there. You just need guys who can replace Cody Martin minutes, Jaden McDaniel minutes. As much as I'm not a fan of Jaden McDaniels. People
Oh,
like
man.
him. I hate his basketball game. I hate it. Anytime he dribbled the ball, I was like, please, Jaden McDaniel. Anytime he did a pump fake from the three to do something, I was like, oh God, turnover. I I people always credit and say, oh, look what happened when Gordon Hayward got injured. I'm like, I give less credit to Gordon Hayward minutes to more than who replaced Gordon Hayward. Because at least with LaMelo, if LaMelo got injured, you had Devontae Graham. As much as I don't like his game, you had a okay player. With Terry Rozier, if Terry Rozier got injured, you had Devontae Graham. If Devontae Graham got injured, you had LaMelo. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Miles. If Miles got injured, you had PJ. With Gordon Hayward, who did you have? You had Jaden McDaniels and one of the Martin twins starting for him. So of course you were gonna fucking suck. Like, you get what I'm saying? So I just think they need to figure out players that can replace those guys' minutes, because inevitably Gordon Hayward's gonna get injured again next year. They have to figure out who can replace Gordon Hayward's minutes. That's it.
Excellent, excellent breakdown, Gibson. And last segment, I wanted to talk about Lonzo for the Zoes out there who are
Yeah.
listening. Uh, First thing, what does Lonzo have to improve on to, enhance his game? And after that, can you answer what would be a good fit for Lonzo?
Getting to the free throw line. That's really all he needs. I know that's not getting two things: layups and getting to the free throw. That's it. Because I think a lot of what happened this year, he wasn't able to show what he improved on as much because of how Stan Van Gundy used him. And I know I hate using excuses for Lonzo because I know that there is parts of his games where he's lackadaisical, but Stan Van Gundy is a fucking horrible coach. Like, he was trying this point Zion shit too much. And like, to be honest, Zion, it only works if Zion's looking to attack. If Zion has to make a decision from the 3-point line, it's terrible. He's going to lose that ball. He's not that great of a dribbler. So why? But, I just think Lonzo has to improve as a guy who can attack the paint and make layups. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something he needs to work on. And it's funny, every time I bring that part about Lonzo needing to attack the basket more, it's the coach's fault. It's the coach. We all get that Stan Van Gundy is not all that coach. We get that. But when you look at his film and see the passing lane, I mean, the driving lanes are wide open, and he'll have the ball. And they know he likes to shoot threes more than twos. One thing in the NBA, you do not show your hand at all. Lonzo has showed his hand that he likes to shoot threes more than attack the rack. So what a defense are going to do? They're going to sag off the paint.
To tell you the truth, DJ, I like what you said, or like when any Lonzo fan or people said, "Oh, you don't talk about Lonzo that much." It was really hard to think about Lonzo with that team, because
Yes.
that team was like the most terribly constructed team. And I don't know how great Lonzo is finishing, because he has to finish with Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe in the fucking way. Like, I can't make a judgment fully. I do know he has to be more aggressive. But like, when you have to play with Eric Bledsoe and Stan Van Gundy puts the ball in Eric Bledsoe's hand every single time and late in the fourth, of course you were going to lose that game. And I to be honest, I don't like the Knicks for Lonzo. I love the Mavs for Lonzo because people hate, oh well, Lonzo don't have control of the ball. Listen, Lonzo worked well with LeBron before the injury. I think he would do well with a guy like Luka.
But if he's with Luca, he won't play point guard as much.
And listen, I hate him having to play with point Zion, but with point Luka, it makes more sense. One, Luka isn't like a terrible passer like a Zion. It's not terrible, but Luka's a way better passer. He gets to the free throw line. He's skilled at shooting a three, so it opens lanes for Lonzo. Lonzo has never played with a guy who, when he cuts, would make the pass except for LeBron. And Luka's just that. Luka would find him in the cuts. Luka would easily find him for threes late in the fourth.
I actually would like Lonzo to be either a Knick or a Bull. Really, with the Clippers, even though I'm not too fond of the Clippers, I'm a Laker fan, so
Yeah, I hate the Bulls. I hate the Bulls. No, that would suck. As much as I want to agree with you, DJ, the Bulls fucking stink. Their bench is terrible. Like, as much as I think, oh, that would seem nice, here's the problem with that. Anytime Larry Markkinen or and what's that sentence? I can't believe I keep forgetting that guy's name. All these European players keep forgetting the name, but that center really good. He really good. Vucevic. Anytime they didn't play on the court, that team was catastrophically bad. Like, I don't think Lonzo, as much as everyone likes Lonzo, I don't think he saves the Bulls. Because, like the Knicks, as much as I'm not a fan of that idea, they have a bench. Lonzo can easily replace Alfred Payton's minutes and make them a better team. Alfred Payton is basically, Al, I called him Alfred Payton. Alfred, he's basically the guy from the Pelicans. If we're being honest,
right.
He's Bledsoe. Like, that's what he was for the Knicks this year. So Lonzo can easily replace that. I don't know, man. I just feel like Lonzo needs to be in a team with another creator. But what I mean by creator, like an actual creator.
Let me point this out. Lonzo to the Mavericks could work out if they just upped Lonzo's usage rate just a bit much. You're not going to fully do it with Luka because he's killing it right now, so you're just not going to do that. But if I've always said, since Luka is bigger than most players and craftier, he could play off ball. He's smart enough to do it. I'm not saying all the time because when Luka has the ball, he's really good at passing. But if he does both, it could be a good thing to see.
Here's what I'm saying. Like, when non-Luka minutes, the Mavs need a point guard.
Right.
They need a guy who can also, but like Lonzo, he's a good guy who could shoot threes and defend. And like, he could take on the harder positions, like point guard. He could take on those positions, I just feel like people would forget that Lonzo with LeBron worked so well. The injuries fucked that up. It worked well. You remember that Hornets game where they both got a triple-double, right?
Yeah, and they were the fourth seed before the injuries.
Yeah, like, I remember that Hornets game like it was yesterday. Like, LeBron saw Lonzo for the cut, gave him an alley-oop. It was a dunk. It was nasty. Like, LeBron, there was like 4 times LeBron saw him open and made the pass. Until this day, I have not seen Lonzo play with any type of player like that. Like, as much as I like Brandon Ingram's, he's gotten way better at passing. He's not a passing kind of guy.
No.
Zion isn't a passing type of guy. Those are scorers. And I think the new NBA, everyone's trying to say, well, since you're the best player on the team, you should also be the point guard. It's like, no. Let's not do that with everybody. And everybody is not that guy. Like, Kawhi, best player on the team. He's not a point guard. That's why they had to get Rondo. But at least they knew that. The Bucks got better when they brought in Jrue Holiday to be more in control of the ball. Because they tried that with Giannis, and that wasn't working in the playoffs. And so I think the Pelicans would be the worst. If Lonzo re-signed with the Pelicans, I would give up on him. I'm dead serious because they're going to use him like he's a 3-and-D player, and that's it. And it's not going to be with playmakers that actually are actual playmakers. That's the worst part. It's like I would be okay with Lonzo being more off the ball if it were an actual playmaker he was playing with. Because how many times, DJ, have you watched a Pelican game? And what's that guy? Oh my God, Bledsoe would look off Lonzo to do the most dumbest fucking layup he would ever do and miss it, or a mid-range shot and airball it. That's my problem. It's like if you're and like we know when Lonzo was in the Lakers with the Lakers, he worked so well with Julius Randle. Julius Randle was the guy who attacked. That's why everyone said, "Oh, Randle's the best and most improved." It's like, no, he was good. He just didn't have as much skills, but he was always good. It's just that you had people like Luke Walton playing Larry Nance above him. You had um, Alvin Gentry. He finally played with a good coach. That's it. I don't know. I'm going to tangent, but you get what I'm saying, DJ. I feel like with Lonzo, I'm okay with him playing off ball, and I also want him to play pseudo point guard sometimes, but he has to play on a team where it's okay for him to play off ball. It really is, because I do believe that the way if this is going to be who he is, like with the type of temperament, type of like attack, he does need to play with a Luka type.
Well, if the Mavericks do somehow get Lonzo, their defense will drastically improve. They don't have to worry about missing defensive assignments. His IQ is very high.
They got to get rid of Porzingis though. That's the most useless big man I've ever known.
Oh, you ain't saying that because you're a Knicks fan, right?
No. I used to think he was the savior when he was with the Knicks, but like watching him now, he fucking stinks.
Oh boy, he does.
It's for his contract, he stinks. How are you 7'3" and not attacking guards when they're in the paint? You should be like great that you could shoot threes from deep, but like, can you not always do that? And like Luke, it makes it harder for Luka if he's the only dependable scorer there. Like last night, he had like 44 and they lost still. That's nasty. Like, this is my thing with Lonzo, and DJ, I want to say this. I'm still a big fan of Lonzo. I just don't think the same way of him rookie year. And I do, like, people say, well, this is Lonzo's best. I don't believe this is Lonzo's best year. I still think second year Lonzo with LeBron, even though the shooting wasn't there, was the best Lonzo we saw. I know that sounds stupid, but he was attacking the paint more. He was way more aggressive, even if the basket didn't go in. He had someone to make the passes for him. He was the best defensively with the Lakers. I want him out of the Pelicans because I just feel like they're going to turn him into like a Jeff Green type if he stays there. Like Stan Van Gundy, like even before coach, you saw the interviews he had before he was a Pelicans coach, how he thought Alonzo, right?
Yeah, man.
Trash. He thought, oh, he could be, 3-and-D guy. He could play more off the ball, let Brandon Ingram play point. It's like, why? Just because Brandon Ingram make a few passes, he's not a good point guard. Because Brandon Ingram is just thinking about getting a bucket in the mid-range most of the time, which he should. That's his job. But, like, don't make him a point guard. Please. Then you bring it, and then you take, and the thing that got me mad with David Griffin, because he's a big fraud. I was okay with them trading Drew Holiday for a young prospect and a center that could stretch the floor. What the shit that they did was disgusting to me. Getting picks from 2026 and then bringing in a worse version of Drew? What? And then signing a center who's washed as fuck and then giving him extra money that you didn't have to do, who doesn't space the floor for Zion, and then everyone blames BI and Lonzo for the problem. It's like, come on, guys. Like my whole, you remember because we talked about this. We wanted Drew traded because we thought it wasn't going to work long term and Drew was going to leave, not because he sucked, but we wanted Drew traded for like the second pick in the draft to the Warriors. How we can get Andrew Wiggins, a defensive player, and then we can get LaMelo Ball, or we can get James Wiseman, who wouldn't have been ready this year, but he would have been, he would have fit, and another vet who could just come off the bench and be good, because you would have a future, and it allows for you to have another player who could fit alongside Lon, you know. But I feel like they got scared. I think they got scared. They didn't want to give him to the Warriors. But it's like, what you got now? You got a bum. You got a bum and another bum that you really want to trade this summer, that you won't be able to because their contracts are garbage.
Yo, Gibson, man, I've told a lot of people this, that if Lonzo goes to another team, you'll see more videos from me about Lonzo. I man, the Pelicans gave me such a headache. I did not have joy unless it was a news about Lonzo, like the trade deadline. That's the only time I brought him up. But that team was so poorly ran. I couldn't make videos. I couldn't make streams about his games. Yeah, I just couldn't.
They would be a play-in. They would obviously be a play-in team if Stan Van Gundy just gave Bledsoe's minutes to Nah. I don't even think Nah is that great of a player, but Nah is better of a player than Bledsoe.
Right.
Like, if Stan Van Gundy's hard head just decided, you know what? Let me just give Nas minutes to Bledsoe, they would be okay. Because the thing that frustrated me, and I think this probably frustrated you, is that you saw a talented team. They always beat the shit out of the Grizzlies. They were good enough to beat good teams. The problem is every fourth quarter, Bledsoe would get the ball because they lost a lot of close games. It was basically like watching Luke Walton coach again. Fourth quarter, Bledsoe gets the ball. Stan Van Gundy brings in Brandon Ingram and Lonzo too fucking late, like 6 minutes in. 6 minutes left in the fourth for some fucking reason. And they would lose leads. And then everyone would blame Brandon Ingram and Lonzo for being bad closers. And it's like they didn't have enough time to operate. They're playing panic because they have to play catch up. And then it's and everyone uses that excuse for, oh, well, he didn't have a good team. Oh, well, he didn't have that much time. It's like the fucking Tibbs. Like, it disgusted me, DJ. That's why I didn't want to talk about Lonzo. Also, in the beginning of the year, Lonzo's still a little inconsistent. That's a thing. But at the same time, he wasn't the reason they were getting their ass beat every night. Like, that's the thing that I hate about. Also, I didn't want to fight with Pelicans blog media anymore because, like, they thirst for Lonzo bad games. They thirst for those things. They hate that guy more than ever, to the point where they were so blinded about LaMelo.
Oh yeah, they definitely had an agenda against Lonzo,
Like,
and it was toxic, bro.
Propels media, just like, oh, there you go. You know that Twitter thing, Propels. They're the
Right.
least negative about Lonzo, but they said, oh, what would happen if they had Alfred Payton playing than Lonzo? I mean, nothing different. It was like, are you fucking blind? Are you fucking stupid? Like, you don't even have to be a stan to say how dumb that shit is. The problem with a lot of these dudes is anytime you're critical of their thought, they say, oh, you're a Lonzo stan. That's my fucking problem. And I didn't want to have to get a headache and talk with dumb motherfuckers. So I just stopped talking about Lonzo. Because it was like annoying as fuck having to deal with because he doesn't really help you when he has inconsistent motherfucking games. So then you have to deal with idiots who pull out the games he was bad at or the month he didn't have a great month, and they'll be like, oh, what about this? Oh, Nas better than Lonzo. It's like, come on. You see what I'm saying? They were saying Nas was better than Lonzo. They were saying Frank Jackson is better than Lonzo. I was like, man, fuck this place. He needs to get the fuck out of there.
And you see why these shines, man. They all over the place, man. With
You
Lonzo,
don't
it's
get that
crazy.
with Hornets media. You don't get that with Hornets media. And I think
God,
that's because they drafted him. I think that's the reason. But like, you don't get that.
the only
Most of
thing the Hornets media ever said that was just dumb when the Hornets were really on a win streak and they were on the fourth seed and their media was saying that James Borrego deserved Coach of the Year. That was the
yeah.
dumbest thing ever said. But besides that, it's not a problem. We just agree to disagree at times, but it's
Most of the time, if they're critical of LaMelo, it's mostly fair criticism. It's saying he does need to work on this, he does need to work on that, and blah blah blah. That's it. With Lonzo though, like because last year they were like, oh, he's not attacking, he doesn't shoot a mid range, blah blah blah. This year they changed it up, and they were like, oh, this. Last year they were anti bringing up any analytical numbers that were against Lonzo. This year, pro fucking numbers. That's my problem with criticism. It's like if you change up your criticism, that just tells me you just strongly dislike Lonzo and you want him to fail. Like the reason why worked so well, and that's why he had a plus on his court, is because the bench, like they let Zion play with him. One, that's why he was working. They also didn't have a fucking bum starting. Jackson Hayes was working well because he had the vertical, and was playing with better players. Like if one thing is, if you have Bledsoe in your starting lineup, it's going to be a bad starting lineup. That's it. That's it. And since Lonzo's not that aggressive, to push back, Bledsoe's going to do more dumb shit. That's it. And also, I want to say this to all the people that think that you and a few people, since LaMelo came in, aren't Lonzo fans. That's not true. That's not true at all. Let's be real honest. LaMelo's better than Lonzo. And at least with LaMelo, on a bad night, he's trying. He's shooting more shots. With Lonzo, on a bad night, it's like he's just kind of withering out there. And as much as Lonzo fan as I am, I was tired of watching that shit. And I think people criticize you for you don't like Lonzo enough, blah blah blah. It's like no, we just don't like that passive shit or the team he plays with. That's
they,
it.
they they try to make it seem. I'm gonna say this before I go. They try to make it seem like, oh, you're not a fan of Lonzo anymore because you don't make a bunch of Pelican videos every
Fuck, I
day.
want to watch the Pelicans.
Why would I do that?
Like, because and it's expectations is what pissed me off about the Pelicans. I'm beyond. If they just kept Drew, they would have been a playoff team. If they'd have just kept Drew, they'd have been a playoff team. That's what hunts me. Because I was one of the biggest get Drew out of here. And I'm like, what they got in return was just like, oh my God. Because the thing is, when Drew and Lonzo and Zion and BI played together with the little games Zion had, they were winning those games by huge margins. So I was like, oh, all they have to do is just trade for better players, multiple players for Drew, and they have a future. But David Griffin's a fucking fraud, and these Pelican media people who shit on Brandon Ingram for defense and Lonzo for being passive failed to talk about David Griffin, and that shit bugs me even more. And I'm gonna let you end this because that fucking annoys me. David Griffin has gotten away with building shitty rosters around LeBron, has gotten away with building shitty rosters people around Zion, and yet he still is looked at as this enlightened motherfucker because it's just the way he talks. But he is such a bad fucking GM. Such a bad fucking GM. And you can't blame Trajan because Trajan didn't make any of those fucking decisions. I could tell you why. Bledsoe was loved by David Griffin beforehand. Bledsoe was a fucking Stan Van Gundy guy. Even beforehand, everyone was like, "Oh, we bring in Bledsoe." That was a David Griffin and Stan Van Gundy choice. That was not a Trajan choice. David Griffin wanted what's his name? Center Australian guy.
Steven Adams.
Steven Adams. I can't believe I'm even forgetting these names. Steven Adams. He was not even the best OKC center that year. He was obviously Nerlens. But they didn't get Nerlens. They got Steven fucking Adams for rebounding. It's like, you don't need fucking rebounding. You have Zion for that. You need a rim protector who can jump, has a vert, who it'd be nice to get a shooter, but we know that's hard to come by in the NBA. You could have gotten people. Pelicans media was shitting on the idea of Miles Turner. I don't fucking know why, but they wanted Steven Adams more than Miles Turner, which today still fucking boggles my mind. It's like, you can get a guy who can spread the floor, even though he's not that great of a shooter. He could still give the perception that he can shoot. He could block. He would be great for Lonzo defensively, because we know how much of a sieve Brandon Ingram has become and how Zion is defensively. He would have been a plus. You could have literally gotten a pick and Miles Turner or something else, and Drew could have played with his brothers. You could have sent the Warriors would have taken Drew. You could have sent him to the fucking Warriors. You could have sent him to any fucking playoff team. Instead, you gift him to the fucking Bucks for a 2026 fucking pick, which, what does that do for Zion? A 2026 fucking pick does nothing for Zion. It just protects David Griffin, makes him look smarter when it comes.
This is Gibson, and boy, he brought it today. We got to do this more often. We got to have Jay Strokes on here, St. Meese, those brothers, have a panel, Sweatbox, like old times. So just let me know, and we'll set that up. But peace and blessings, brother. I hope you have a good day, and I'm out.